So when we see them both as allies in a thriving life, in a thriving love life, in a thriving work life, we start to realize that we can actually weave our scientific knowledge, and when I mean scientific, I mean rational, scientific, modern. We can weave that knowledge, which is really useful. I really love having a cell phone, which is based upon quantum mechanics, and I love flying, and I love all the things that modern life brings me. I love to know the latest science, or if I had any illness, I'd want to know the latest scientific papers on what we've discovered about that illness. But I wouldn't be limited to that. I would also then go, but there's also this other body of knowledge. And so for me, spiritual atheism is about saying, A, we've got these two amazing streams of knowledge and wisdom. We've got an inner stream from our inner practice and from reading sacred texts and from our work, dancing and connecting with each other. And then we have this other stream of knowledge from science and rational thought. And we want to bring them together inside us so they don't fight inside us. So we don't go, well, my rational mind says this, but my juicy spiritual heart says that. For me, we want to find harmony within us from both those strands, which you could say is like the masculine and feminine, the yin and the yang.
Right. So
that's kind of what, exactly, that's one side of it, is to bring them together within us. But then we can then say, well, what's more than that is we can go into the world bringing these two streams of knowledge. And if you're a business person or a manager or a doctor, you can say, well, here's the science, and here's my intuition, and this is what I think we should do. And be really clear that they're two different, equally valid sources of guidance, for want of a better word. And then the reason why it's called spiritual atheism as a life philosophy is because as soon as we get into anyone telling us that there's a better or more authentic way to be spiritual, for me, we start to lose the liveness, that liquid love, that liquid spirit. And we start getting into ideology and dogma, and one priest telling the other people they don't have access to the real thing. And you have to, as soon as we get into that world, right now we're seeing what that can lead to in the child abuse issues in the church. And that's not even incorporating all the religious conflict that's just a daily reality today. So it's a kind of different form of atheism. It's a spiritual, love-based atheism that just says, we're not going to follow anyone's rules. There's no rule book for living. Actually, Krishnamurti, one of the great teachers of mine, says, the truth is a pathless land. There are no rules for your life. There are principles, and that's what I've tried to put together in this book. There are principles that you can interpret for yourself, but only you can live your life going forward. And there are no rules to follow. There's no one makes it easy. No one can give you the answers.
Right. Which I actually love that, because so much of the wisdom comes from within us. And we can all find our own way and our own truth, and yet, but if we are coming from that place of love, your word harmony, which is so key in this day and age, and purposeful. We all have the creative juices to give back, to change the world, to leave it a better place than when we are here. So there's so much of it that all kind of blends together in this big circle of soup of love. I don't know, but it's all good. It's all good. What's the difference between spiritual atheism and materialistic atheism?
So materialistic atheism is what I call the atheism that I used to believe in, which basically says anything that isn't measurable by science does not exist, which is really just a nutshell of what a modern atheist these days basically says. Don't talk to me about intuition or spirit guides or even the word love or even consciousness, because it doesn't really exist. It's just an illusion, and all there is brain cells firing and and blood cells pumping. That is it. That's life. That's the essence of life. And of course, that is actually a crazy statement to say. And it doesn't stop some very smart atheists saying words to the effect of, even the consciousness that I am having, the ideas that I'm sharing in this podcast or writing in this book are an illusion, because consciousness doesn't exist. It's just, potassium ions flowing across the cell membrane. And so that's the atheism that's currently out there, that's currently fighting the religious people in a kind of war, a culture war, which is, it's almost like it's like they both misunderstood each other so profoundly. And so what I've tried to put together is a form of atheism that still says, listen, we don't want to believe in a priest. We can listen to a teacher, definitely, but we don't want to believe in a priest. We don't want to say whatever a priest or a guru says is the truth for me. There's no rules revealed by a personal God, and in some ways there's no individual God to help me personally. So that for me is the thing I wanted to keep, that sense of atheism. But then say, but that doesn't mean there isn't this profound spiritual experience that everyone can have when they listen to themselves and go inside and meditate for long enough. And there are other paths to get there, obviously. That everyone can have this experience of oneness, of unity, of connection, of love, of purpose, of joy. And not only can everyone have that and still be an atheist, they must have that at some point in their life to make sense of life. And that's what I wanted to put together, a worldview that says, a philosophy that says, you can be an atheist, you can believe in science, you can love science, you can read all the science books you love, and you can hold a baby in your arms and experience what you might call a sense of divine unity in the moment, and believe in it and know it's an important experience, and not discount it, and not try and pretend it's not there, or say it's mumbo-jumbo. In fact, more than that, it's the experience of which all other experiences then have to become secondary to, if that makes sense. So that's why I learned myself is once I'd experienced this oneness, I had to allow it to sort of jostle all my other concepts and ideologies around, and it had to get to the core of my being and my worldview and my everything and my decisions. And that took a long time. And this book is kind of hopefully a path for people to get there a bit quicker than I got there. It took 30 years for me. And
yet if it takes them 30 years, it's okay.
Exactly.
Right.
If it takes 30 years.
Okay.
And this is what you said earlier in the last question is, we have to be totally at peace with the fact there's so much suffering, and suffering is a pathway to love. And yet at the same time I also want to try and reduce suffering as much as I can. So it's kind of like, it's the middle path of Buddhism. You have to accept that the world is exactly as it is right now. There's plastic garbage in the sea, the coral oceans, the corals being bleached and dying, children are being, abused in all sorts of horrible ways right now. And if I don't accept that, I'm fighting what is. And I can also dedicate my entire life to doing something about some of that. And that's the conundrum, the paradox at the heart of a spiritual life. Is
that's where the nectar. Yeah, the nectar. And I like the way that you said, that you talk about the reduction of suffering. If each one of us works within to a place where we're resonating in love for ourselves and others, and then take that juice that we have and and work on reducing suffering in others, then that elevates all of us. And who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want to feel that? It's all good. It's all good. So we're going to be going for a break. When we come back, I'd like to talk about this, the business. Those of us, there's so many people that are in business today that are coming from a place of consciousness, and everything. The ethics are important, morale, morals are important to them, and how they treat the people that work with them, and how you can work from that place. You lived it because you were in the world of advertising and seducing the consumer so that we would buy everything. And I mean, that's the world that we live in. But you shifted. And so I want to hear more about that when we come back. So everyone stay with us. We'll be back in a moment with Nick Jankel.
Experience a different yet profound healing with Reconnective Healing. Includes yet expands beyond any and all known forms of energy healing. The Reconnective Healing spectrum is comprised of the full healing and evolutionary continuum of energy, light, and information. It allows for healings that are not just physical, not just mental, not just emotional, yet go beyond that to bring healing that includes the evolution of your very being and essence. Deborah Beauvais, trained and certified by world-renowned Dr. Eric Pearl, offers appointment hours at Seacock Family Chiropractic in Seacock, Massachusetts. For questions or to set up both distance or local sessions, call Deborah at 508-431-1959. Again, 508-431-1959. Or go to lovebyintuition.com. That's lovebyintuition.com.
Looking for a fun and relaxing getaway? Omega Rest and Rejuvenation Retreats are a great way to unwind and renew your spirit. Stroll through the garden, relax by the lake, or try a daily yoga or movement class. You can stretch your body, quiet your mind, and do as much or as little as you choose. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org.
Are you searching for a way to help create global change? Dream Vision 7 Radio Network's vision is to have an eclectic group of radio hosts dedicated to educating, enlightening, and helping humankind with positive messages and tools that enhance lives using different modalities and programs. If you would like to join our team and help illuminate the universe, call Deborah at 508-226-1723 or Deborah at dreamvision7radio.com. This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Nick's Spiritual Atheist book is the #1 hot new release in philosophy on Amazon. So you can get it anywhere. Get the book. You'll want to read it more than once and open your heart and mind to what he is sharing. It's an amazing journey because you're going through it as he has with his own journey. So it's I can't say enough about it. If you want to get in touch with him, go on his site, Switch On Now, just as it sounds, switchonnow.com. Naturally, he's on Facebook. You can just go and do Switch On World, and you'll connect there. He has a blog, a magazine. He's on YouTube, all the good stuff in the digital world. So, Nick, getting back to choosing to work a business that makes a difference in the world, that serves people. Tell us a little bit about your journey, where you were, and what happened that you actually realized, you know what, this isn't working for me, and I want to do something. You had to walk away from a lot of money opportunities that were amazing.
Yeah, I did. I chose to walk away, but I'll probably say walk through and towards something better. I mean, basically, I left medical school, decided to get more into the social sciences. I was really interested in psychology and anthropology. I thought about doing a PhD, and I ended up sort of falling into an advertising agency, working in marketing, and particularly the psychology of marketing. So I was paid to find the pieces of us that aren't quite complete and whole and trigger them and with advertising. And then I ended up starting my own company, doing that stuff at a even higher level, and ended up creating a lot of helping companies create products and services. And exciting stuff, new chocolate bars, new coffee ideas, new digital products and services. It was all very exciting, and I ended up being very good at it, and I was successful, and it's a fun industry, and I was on paper, a very wealthy man, and I had a lot of staff, and